Today we are going to do a YouTube video for additional signatories to try and help them complete the application forms so that we don't have to redo any applications. Before we start, the main reason that PVG application forms are rejected is because the official is not a registered official within the Scottish Youth FA. So the first question an additional signature should ask is, are you registered with a team or a club within the Scottish Youth FA? Do you have with you the form you received from the system when you were added as an official? This form is not compulsory, but it will help you as an additional signatory to know that this person is registered within the SYFA Association. So ask if they've got the letter. If they haven't got the letter, that does not mean you do not do the PVG. It just means that you have to make sure that the person is registered within the Scottish Youth FA. Before we start the YouTube videos, I'd just like to remind all additional signatories, at no point on these applications do you write anything. You don't fill the form in for the applicant, and you don't alter any of the information submitted by the applicant. There's no need to write on the application or existing membership forms. We're going to start off with the application to join PVG Scheme, and this is for anyone who has not in the past filled in a PVG Scheme form. This is for people who are joining the Scottish Youth FA who are going to have a role which requires PVG. And we'll come on to the roles later on that require it. Filling in the application to join PVG is done at a meeting in which an additional signatory will be present to check the information supplied. Okay, so the people who haven't done one before for any other job would get an application to join PVG Scheme, and they would start the application by completing A1, which is scheme record. So this one here, we would fill in scheme record. 2 would be children. A3 would be no. The answer to A3 would be no. If the person who's filling the form in is going to be doing first aid for the team, they would tick protected adult. We now come on to the first part in B1, and this is Mr, Mrs, Ms or Miss, or if you want to be doctor, then you put doctor in there if it's a doctor. Present surname, this is your name as you're known as just now. Your forenames, this includes any middle names. Now we will be able to check the middle names when we come to the driving licence, because your driving licence tells us whether you have a middle name or not. So it's important if you have them, even if you don't use them, that you put in any middle names you have in here. B5, are you now, or have you ever been, or were you at birth known by a different name? If no, tick no. Have you changed your name, i.e. by marriage or deed poll, etc.? So we need the surname that you are previously known, the forenames you were previously known as for different names. B13, this is one that's quite regularly forgotten. This is your mother's maiden name or mother's family name. Now this is Smith, Jones or some of these other names, but it's not Jean. It's not a first name, it's a maiden name, which is a surname. Your date of birth, quite simply done, 01/01/1970, or whatever it is, but that's the manner in which it's put in. And your gender as on your birth certificate. Gender as on your birth certificate would be male or female. Your town of birth, this is the town in which your birth was registered. Your country of birth, this could be Scotland, or it could be any other country in which you were born. And your nationality could be British, it could be Scottish, it could be American, or any other nationality you hold. The bit at the bottom for contact details, which has not got yellow highlights here, is handy for ourselves when we come to try and contact you for some reason. So I would ask that you fill in at least one telephone number and your email address. This helps us, if we have a query, to send an email to you, so that it cuts down the time until your application is processed. We turn over onto page 2, and in page 2, do you have a UK national insurance number? 99% of you, the answer will be yes, because everyone of working age should have a national insurance number. The national insurance number is 2 letters, 2 numbers, 2 numbers, 2 numbers, and a letter. Fills every box in here. We now go on to, do you have a passport? Answer yes or no. Now, even if your passport has run out of time, if it's invalid, but you've had one, we still need to know yes. And the full number, which is 9 digits long, would be put in here. Country of issue would be UK if it's a British passport. Scotland as yet do not issue passports, so this would be UK and the 9-digit number. Do you have a driving licence? If you have a driving licence, you must enter your number, as we cannot process applications without it. If you've never had a driving licence, the answer is no. The driving licence number is 16 digits long. 16 digits long, and usually starts with the first 5 letters of your surname, and then your date of birth changed round about. Then your initials, which would tell us in this part whether or not you have a middle name. If that says A9, then your first name starts with A, and 9 means you don't have a middle name. If it says AB, it means your first name starts with A, and your middle name starts with B. So we know there that you have a middle name. Country of issue again would be UK, because the driving licence centre is UK and is not Scotland. Also, regarding the driving licence, if they have lost their driving licence or lost their passport, they have to write in the word lost in the boxes, so that we know that A, you had one, and B, we don't have the number. Okay, we're now down to B31. Do you have a national identity card? Some people relocating to the United Kingdom will have one. And the answer would be yes. And if they have a national identity card, then they would put in the national identity card number in here. Country of issue. We don't need national entitlement cards, and we don't need an electricity supplier number. So if you have an identity card, it's yes. If you don't have one, please tick no. But one of them must be ticked. Are you or have you ever been a member of the PVG scheme? Now on this form, the answer has to be no. Because if you tick yes, and you have a number, you're filling in the wrong form. And we'll come on to existing applications in a couple of minutes' time. Are you or have you been registered with the ISA? The ISA is the Independent Safeguarding Authority, which is equivalent to the English PVG, and if you have a number it should be entered here, and if not, tick no. We're now moving on to current address, and this is your last 5-year history. We have to, between the resident from dates, cover 5 years. So this is your current address, so it's your street number, your street name, the town, county, your postcode, and the country. The resident from date is the month you moved into your present home and the year you moved into your present home. Now if that is less than 5 years ago, you have to go into the house you lived in before, and you fill in the exact same thing for the house before. Now the important thing here is that the resident from date has to be in chronological order. So we start with the one you're in now, the house before that, then the house before that. If for some reason you get these mixed up, Disclosure Scotland will return them to us. We now move on to page 3. If you have any more address history to do, it would go in there. The next part is the regulatory body details. Now, a regulatory body, and I'm going to flash up here a list of the regulatory bodies that we recognise. The Care Commission, which is 101, chiropractor, dentist, doctor, optician, osteopath, a teacher, health professional, pharmaceutical or social work. And these are the regulatory body numbers, and they would go in here, and their registration number with that body would go into this bit here. We now move on to this signatory bit at the bottom of the page. It is suggested that this is not signed at this point, but only signed and dated by the applicant after the additional signatory has checked over all the information supplied. So, best thing to do, if we make a mistake, we go and start a new form. Saves a lot of time in the long run. We then turn the page and onto page over there. We turn on the page. D1 is yes, D2 is ticked, and then D3 is a method of payment. Because we are SYFA and we are a voluntary organisation, the registered body invoice would be ticked, and as we said before, we tick this one here is paid for by the regulatory body, and is this volunteer worker qualified voluntary organisation? The answer is yes. So it's 1, 2, 3, and that's all we fill in on that page. To the next page, which is the first green page, and in the first green page, E1 and E2 should be no. E1 and E2 are no under this counter-signatory page. We would fill in SYFA Limited, Ltd, and your team ID or your club ID number, and that is all. So it's SYFA Limited, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if that's your number. The positions applied for, which require PVG. Okay, here we have the positions that require PVG within the Scottish Youth FA. We have team secretary, not club secretary. We have coach. This is someone who has a 1.2 coaching certificate. Assistant coach or coach assistant, goalkeeping coach, club coach coordinator, team helper, not club helper. If you write club helper, it will be rejected. Club child wellbeing and protection officer, club player registration officer, PVG additional signatory. The word official does not appear anywhere in this position. And remembering, of course, if you fill in first aider, then we go back to the start, you'll find that the protected adults bit has to be filled in as well on page 1. And that is all that the additional signatory watches the applicant fill in. Once it's filled in to this point, the additional signatory checks all the information supplied by the applicant and watches the applicant go back and sign and date the application in the correct place. Not on the green one, but on the purple one. Okay, that's the application form. We're going to move on to the existing application form and the cover sheet.